Ann Harrigan.
Here.
Tony Perugini.
Here.
Faith Ham.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, I did that too.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business, is there any public comment? Any? Do you have any public comment?
We did get an email from Mr. Bester asking about the specifics of the nonfiction versus fiction levels, percentages at the high school level. So I'll get back to Mr. Bester with an email, but suffice it to say, as students go up in grade levels, there's more requirements such as biology, physics, chemistry, Western Civ, U.S. history, next to our literature courses. So by the sheer volume of coursework, probably is more nonfiction being read than fiction. But I will have that drafted and send that to him.
I actually understood his concern to be about just literature courses, though.
We had the presentation in February 14th, 2022, when we had Ian Wilderman here to share all about the literature requirements, and he went through all of those books. And I'll send that to Mr. Bester so he can take a look at it, because they were primarily literature and very little nonfiction.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the item, review of the minutes of the November 14, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Tony, thank you. And discussion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Second?
You want to say?
Yes, I do. And
Then you have.
okay. Are there any discussions on the minutes? No, I think we've all read them and they're accurate.
Well done, Mr. Hamlin, as usual.
Okay, seeing no amendments, changes, or corrections, do I, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
I opposed. New business, we're going to hear about enrollment in our college courses.
Yeah, so Maureen has some information for us on our enrollment in college level courses. The purpose of this discussion tonight is just to showcase when we talk about student growth and when we talk with people at the State Department of Ed, they're indicating that a good measure of student growth, or one of the best measures of student growth at the high school level, because you don't have tests like the Smarter Balance or other measures where you have a growth target, is really looking at the level of, or the amount of courses that students are taking that are at the college level. So that college and career readiness factor is really something that they are particularly looking at. So I asked Dr. Reed to pull together information regarding our early college experience classes offered through UConn, our dual enrollment classes offered through the community colleges, as well as our advanced placement courses.
I have created like a Google sheet. Do you
Let
want to
me-
share that? I shared it with you.
Yes,
I
I did.
didn't have a visual. Use this.
It's a little easier to see it in front of us on the screen. Thanks.
Yeah. Is that, oh, we need to share?
And then, I'm sorry.
This comes after that.
I like your use of color.
And then this comes on there. These are all separate tabs on the Google sheet, so I apologize. Yeah, I like color. Just need to sort through this. I think you all have everything, but I'll go through and the next one. So the first, I'm gonna go back through this. So the first 2 pages, these are the totals. So it starts out with CTE on the top, and it has science at the bottom of the page, and then the next page has social studies in green, and then world language. So this, these are our total courses, both all 3, DE or just AP or AP/ECE courses. And you can see them by department, you can see how many students are enrolled, how many sections of the course, and then at the bottom, Mary had put in a total. So if you have all of our DE, ECE, AP, and then AP/ECE courses combined, we have 979 students taking those courses. So that's the first, that's our totals. And then the next page, I'm going to go to, if I don't know if I handed it out correctly, it has CTE at the top, and it only goes half down, and there's world language is the last one. These are our ECE only courses, so the total there we have students taking is 131.
And just so you recall, that's early college experience.
Which is UConn only. And then our next grouping of courses starts with English at the top. And the last course is world language, and these are our AP only courses, so they aren't offered AP/ECE, they're just AP, and we have 515 students taking those courses. Then our next tab is the AP/ECE courses, so they're offered in both. The instructors can teach through UConn and the AP, starting with business and world language, and that total is 151 students for that. And then the last page of it, I think there's only that one copy of, is CTE and business only. Those are our DE dual enrollment courses only through Tunxis or Naugatuck. And the total there is 182 students. So all of those pages, again, if you go back to the first 2 sheets, those are all of the courses listed by department with their designations DE or AP or ECE or AP/ECE, and the total is 979 for our students taking those courses. A lot of information.
So this is going to be a factor in those data reports that come out, the next generation district report cards. And so they'll be, they'll come out with how we do compared to other schools. And this is a new component to that, which is why I think it's important for us to be aware of how many classes that is. But I think that the high school has been really ahead of this for many years in really working with Naugatuck and with Tunxis in getting all of those courses aligned. So just something I wanted to point out and really give credit where credit is due to the fact that that is 979 college and career ready courses offered within a high school.
There are students taking them.
Not individual courses, but students, yeah.
Are these unique, these aren't unique students, are they? Or I mean,
Oh, no, these can
No.
Some
Is there-
people enrolled in a number of courses.
and we don't know the breakdown of
But
that.
they become it twice.
Right, so that would be, that's the total number of students in each of those classes.
But we don't know the breakdown then. It's
So
not clear.
typically in a given year, we average around 400 to 500 students who take an advanced placement class, an advanced placement test individually. So that's the individual number. So we could figure out the discrete individuals taking these classes if you want to.
Well, will they,
And the number of students taking multiples.
will they break that down at the state level if they do that? Are they, do we know how they will look at the
I'll have
data?
to look into that. This is the first year that they're accounting for that, so I'll come back to you with some more information.
But it's your sense, our sense, that we're doing pretty well in this area.
And what we if I may, what they would count was the number of students who took at least one advanced placement course. So that now will include all of these courses as well.
Yeah.
So at least one. So if a DE course is the first college level course that you've taken, that will then count toward the number of students taken.
And we continue, as you know, last month, we added 3 new courses, so we continue to add courses to our roster of what they can take.
Just to open
But they should be counted, so
Mhm.
I think that's a good step forward.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Did you? Thanks. Be interested to hear how they're, what they're going to do. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, our 3 field trip requests all out of country. So we will have to make motions tonight on these.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
Are they all-
do you want
are they all high
to,
school?
You want us to-
Yes.
do you want the motions separately, or can we do them in aggregate, or?
We can do them all together.
Okay, okay, great.
Costa Rica is on the list first.
So Costa Rica,
Oh,
we have a science teacher who had proposed this trip, and as you can see in the description, it's to explore the biodiversity of Costa Rica and an immersion experience in the new culture, the people, the language, the food, and the way of life. And she's hoping to take about 12 students with another science teacher to Costa Rica. And this would be for 2024.
So do you mean, I'm sorry. So the teacher is the trip leader, I see.
Correct. And it's through EF Tours, all 3 of these are, so they have the required travel insurance that they'll be purchasing right through the cost of the trip.
is this a specific science course, or it's just generally?
No, it's not for one specific science course. Science teacher.
So these trips are just supplemental, they're not our courses. I have to get my head out of the college.
Okay.
And is the April 4th through 13 date spring break? Or is it the April 12th to 20?
I believe they've chosen specifically to take the spring break. I'm assuming we have those dates out.
Well, the Puerto Rico one is different from the Costa Rica one.
So the
So I'm assuming one of those is
13.
the break, but they can't both be 10.
No, they can't both.
So we don't have 2 weeks.
Correct.
So will they be adjusted when we get the calendar, do you think?
And sometimes the trips adjust through the company as the date gets closer by a couple days here or there, but not generally a whole week. So one is let me look at the 8th. Okay, 12th through the 20th. The other one is the 4th through the 13th. So the last one, Iceland, is 6th through 13. So, you know,
I bet this
I'm-
4 through 13, 6
is-
through 13 is the break.
Yes. And the Puerto Rico one might be just off by a week.
So Maureen, can you check on that? Because if this goes forward tonight, then the full board will be voting on it on Thursday.
Yeah, the draft school calendar has it. 8th through the 12th.
Exactly.
Yep.
For which one?
For the
For the-
2023-24
So
school
the
year,
break
8 through the 12.
So Costa
Which-
Rica,
extends really from the 6
So
through
then-
the 16th.
Yeah.
So
Are the
those
groups
two.
asking for additional time, or did they get the data incorrect?
So, yeah, I will have to check with the individual leaders. The 4 through 13 is the week and like a day or two earlier than that week, which sometimes they need to do that for the exam
Yeah.
trips. And then the Iceland is the 6th through the 13th, which would be exactly that week. It's the Puerto Rico one that would be a week later, so.
And there might be a reason for it, but.
Yeah, I'll check with Dawn about that.
Do you want to just then postpone deciding until January, until we have everything settled?
Sure, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, just postpone a vote on it until we have all the dates settled and we know.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
because we aren't holding anything up.
yeah,
No.
No, this is almost a full year in advance.
Right.
yeah. Okay.
They like to do it in advance because the companies offer for parents to pay like 18 months out, a month at a
Mhm.
time, so they like to get the kids in, and, you know.
They like to get their money.
Pretty much.
That's right. Okay, so next one then would be Puerto Rico. Do we have?
The Puerto Rico is the one that is the questionable date.
Yeah. And this trip, they're also taking, they took last year, it's John DeMayo and Aaron Ribbon that teach the Black and Latino course, and they took them this past year, they'd like to go again.
So this is a bigger group they're looking at.
This is about what they took last year.
No, but bigger than the Costa Rica.
Yeah, yes, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, you're looking at 12 versus 20.
And again, this is through EF with the same thing in terms of insurance and with insurance.
So given Dawn's Fulbright, I'm sure she's obviously checked this out. There's not going to be any conflict that she.
Because her Fulbright's this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Which is why she was getting it out early. So that she could have it done and wouldn't have to worry about not being here to talk to students about it.
So is this going to become a routine, and is it going to be like a biannual? Have they talked about this?
I don't know if they plan that far into the future, but I think that they had a good experience with the last trip, and they'd like to offer it again as an opportunity for
Well,
students.
if they're getting that many students too, then there's, you know.
All right. And then last but not least.
Handing mine back.
And so the last one, so it's
Did you
kind of
need this one,
interesting.
Mary?
The Costa Rica is the science angle, the Puerto Rico is the kind of social studies, more cultural angle. And then Iceland, we have two teachers, Sarah Mick, who's a physical education teacher, and Rebecca Daddio, who is a CTE teacher. She teaches human growth and development and some food courses. And she, the two of them would like to go to Iceland, as you can see in the description, exploring Iceland has to offer, focusing on health and wellness. So through physical activity, hikes, snorkeling, fishing, service projects, coastal cleanup, forest institute, students will gain a better understanding of the vital connection between our physical and mental health.
So it sounds like they're going to be doing a lot of physical stuff.
Okay, fair.
This one hasn't been done before, right?
No.
Do they have a sense of the call for it? They've got 20 students.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done, a premature kind of surveying of students, but I do know Iceland is a hot spot to take
Yeah.
trips to anymore for student groups.
It's just, it
given
seems to me
everything.
like a very different kind of trip though, with the Is it considered a service trip or not? Yeah, and service projects. Yeah, to me, that's a different kind of trip than just immersing in the culture.
It is.
Wasn't this gonna be done COVID timeframe? Didn't they start discussing it?
I did not hear. Did you?
Do you remember?
Jogging something, I have to look back.
But I think we did, and I think it all went on
Because
hiatus.
I remember it.
I thought there was the Galapagos Island.
That was
was
the
a
lot.
lot.
That was.
I thought,
Only with the money.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go there.
Yeah.
but I do
This one
recall
too.
talking, my daughter and I went to Iceland, and when they brought it up, so I don't know, whatever.
Maybe
That's
you
okay.
can recommend it.
Yeah.
And the snorkeling in April is doable, I can
I
tell
want
you.
to go to Puerto Rico.
Okay. Do it, Anne, go.
Board members should be part of it.
Yeah, you can make it a requirement. Working with.
We've got that many policies.
Let's just institute that right
Yeah,
now.
there we go.
That's right.
Kind of just draw outside.
I thought we also had to take this, the basic skills test too. That was kind of shattering. All right, so we'll just put this on, table this until January, if we can get clarification on the dates, and then
Sure.
we'll put before the board. Okay.
I'm giving you my copies back.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's, can we get them all back again?
Yes. We didn't write on them.
I did a little bit.
I gave me everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Take it off, recycle.
There.
All right, moving on to informational items. Going to get an update on new language for course levels at CHS.
Yes.
Dr. Dowd.
So we have what has been for several years rather confusing language, college prep, competitive college prep, and we've had conversation and said, especially looking at what a number of our peers do, not that we all have to be lockstep, but honors just simplifies the language. So we are going to move from competitive college prep to, for example, English 9, honors English 9. And just shift that language to clarify and simplify. And one additional implication of that will be in one of our departments in science, we have multiple levels of chemistry, and that has been confusing as well. Advanced, competitive, college, we're just going to call it honors chemistry, just to streamline that way.
Is this, in a sense, seems to be going back to what it was?
Yeah, that's what I was,
It's simple. It's simple. And
Simple's good.
Everyone knows what that is.
Yeah, there may have been an attempt to take some of to make it less obvious what it is, but kids know, parents know, they learn, doesn't matter. Call it what it is.
good.
And so but we'll essentially still have 3 levels. So we'll have base, no qualifier, honors, and then AP.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the AP is the college bearing credit, which is AP, ECE, dual enrollment.
Mhm. Okay. And we don't have to take, obviously, any action on that, so, thank you. Good. Moving right along, elementary classroom libraries update.
Sure. We meeting, myself and Kevin met with representatives from each of the grade levels this past month to discuss a number of topics related to curriculum and instruction. But the one that I wanted to talk to you about today was about our elementary classroom libraries. And I think I've mentioned this before, that at the classroom library level, prior to COVID, we sent home a lot of books in that March timeframe because we wanted kids to have things. We had car lines for parents could pick up books for their kids to read. And then because we had to get books into kids' hands, we had subscriptions to online versions of books. And so now we really want to make sure that that's not a practice anymore. And so we were sharing the meta-analysis that has been done on primary reading that clearly states that students K through 2 read better with print materials than they do with online materials. And as part of that, we want to strengthen our classroom libraries. So we are at the point right now where we are inventorying kindergarten and first grade libraries to make sure that we have enough really early readers and phonics books. We're with our Pat Castle, our reading consultant, we are inventorying those, and then we have a process in place to look at grades 3 and 4 to make sure that all the kids that are in our elementary schools have access to really quality materials in their classroom libraries. So just wanted to share that update and let you all know that that's a process that we've undertaken, and just underscore how important it is to have print materials versus any kind of digital materials in students' hands, because the research clearly tells us that students learn better with print at those ages when they're learning to read than with digital. So that's our update.
So is any of that going to get into our budget stuff coming up next month?
Likely.
But you'll have something.
Yeah.
Where you'll let Jeff know
Yes.
what you
yes,
need.
Yes. And we have been having those discussions all fall.
Great, okay.
So these costs are not going to be a one-to-one. We will replenish fully our tangible libraries once we get rid of all of the online subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, really it was focused on one online subscription that we had, and so rather than taking any of that money and continuing that, we really wanted to make sure there was a clear end to that process, and making sure people that, well, I still need, well, if you still need something, we will get that for you, but let's do it systematically and make sure we know exactly what is needed. And also, you know, things get worn, things get worn out, things lived at home for an awfully long time during the pandemic. We just want to make sure that kids have what they need. It won't be replenishing every single book that we have, but rather inventorying them in a systemic way and beefing up what's already there, making sure we have enough.
And this is K2.
K2 is where our first focus is, and then we'll get into, I think K1, we are likely able to really handle this year with our existing budget, and then looking forward, what would we need to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm not suggesting we do that all in 1 year either. I think maybe we phase that in.
But there is money that will be stopped for the online
Yes.
subscriptions.
Yep.
So it's not all new money either.
Correct. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't want to give the impression that there are many online subscriptions.
Yeah.
This was, you know, one subscription in particular that we just,
But it makes sense to review everything
Yeah.
once it's past its reason for having been implemented in the first place.
exactly. And that's something that Kevin and I do at the beginning and end of every year. This was just one that we saw that was, you know, pretty clear what we needed to do.
Okay, and then grade 6-8 math textbook review.
We've convened an ad hoc committee to take a look at our grade 6 through 8 math textbook. We are currently using a resource called Big Ideas Math that we've used for several years. This committee has taken a look at the good uses of Big Ideas Math and where we may need to go next. And so that's been part of their planning process. We've reviewed 2 possible resources to date. We have 1 or 2 more to go. And I expect that through the work of this group, which includes our math coaches at the elementary and middle school level, division leader at the middle school level, and teacher representatives from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as well as 2 administrators. I think when we get towards the end of this process, end of February, beginning of March, we'll be able to make a recommendation on either a new text series that will support our curriculum, or the steps that we would need to take to continue to use our existing resource with some curricular updates. It's a good group of people. We actually met today, and they've got good insight into the things that are going to be important to help move our students forward. The things that you've heard about before through our Curriculum Writing Institute. Math resources with good, authentic tasks that are going to drive instruction is key in their mind. So I'll let you know that that committee has convened, and we'll be working over the winter to see if we would make a recommendation for an updated resource.
How many times have you met so far, Kevin?
3 times so far, and the first was kind of taking a look at a series of possible books that we knew were all well aligned to the standards. And that was a list of 8, and we're trying to whittle down to 3 or 4 to review more in depth, and we've done 2 of those reviews so far. With some good possible outcomes.
Is Big Ideas a whole program?
Does have an
Does it
online
run
portal
6, 7,
and
and 8?
Yes. And all of the resources that we're looking at, it's a 6, 7, 8
Okay.
continuum. So we're not looking for one for 6, a separate one for 7. I think they're all middle school math series. It's also a great opportunity to have our 6th grade and 7th and 8th grade teachers together to do some collaborative work.
So you're saying that the biggest weakness of Big Ideas is the dearth of real-life application in the
So,
theories and...
yeah, two things that are where the teachers are doing a good amount of work to make sure that students are getting an experience. One is making sure that they have good, rich application problems. And 2 is aligning to the standards. So through the work that Marlene did prior to my coming into the position and the continued work of this position, we are taking parts of Big Ideas, reordering, reprioritizing, spending more time in some chapters or segments and less in others. So that's the upside of doing that work is the teachers really own that part of the curriculum. The downside is they're doing a lot of work to make sure that it's good and appropriate for students.
Yeah.
Big Ideas does have some really good supports for helping students, wherever they are on those performance levels, have some good resources to help them keep moving forward. So they like that part of it. And if we move to a new resource, the teachers are hoping that kind of, oh, you have this already, here's the next step for you. Oh, you need to work on this a little bit more, here's another resource that they want to make sure that's included because that's a strength of the resource that we have right now. So it's the kind of thinking that they're doing on the committee, and as I said, it's a good group who's got a good head on their shoulders with what we have and where we might want to go next, either through our own writing or through recommendation of a new resource.
I'm just looking at some of the sample real-life problems for the grade 6 course. They have a nice one on skateboard costs. But that would get, if I was that age, it would lure me in on it, sure.
Right.
Figuring out the actual cost, that's interesting.
All right. Well, this was a speedy meeting. Are there any other comments on any of the items here? Good. All right. Everybody wants to go home.
Probably all too efficient, too good, this is great.
All right, well, seeing as we're at the bottom of the page, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Sure.
Okay, Seth has a second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.